Hello, I'm Tom, and I'm from Team 4, and today I'm going to be presenting to you about Berkshire Hathaway, along with Michelle, Carly, and Ryan. So just a little preview of what we're going to go over today. First, we're going to talk a little bit about the company as a whole and its leaders. We're going to talk about the internal strengths of the company, along with some internal and external strengths and weaknesses of the different subsidiaries of the company. And then we're going to go ahead and give some recommendations for the future. So before we get into that, I have a little video that I want to show you of an interview of CEO Warren Buffett.
You know, you get a lot of praise, deservedly, as an investor and as a board member, but I want to begin by talking to you a little bit about your life as a CEO, because people forget that you are a CEO and an enormously successful one. So I thought I would begin by asking you about what makes a successful CEO, and particularly not just because you were successful, but because one thing I admire about you is that in your acquisitions, you know who is a successful CEO, and you acquire the person as well as the business.
Yeah.
So what do you look for?
Well, we have a kind of a special kind of business because it's been built on buying businesses. We started with a textile business that was destined for failure 45 years ago. So Berkshire has been put together in a way that sort of fits me, but I also think it fits a successful business model. And I don't like committees. I don't like, there are all kinds of things I don't like. So I get rid of them and create a model that I think will work, but that doesn't have the things that I don't like. And as we've bought businesses over the years, and we now have 70 odd businesses, almost always the person who sells to me is the person who's going to be running it subsequently.
So as you can see, Warren Buffett is a man who clearly understands the concepts of fit as far as the corporate and business structure of a company go. So Berkshire Hathaway is a large multinational conglomerate holding company that essentially operates as a fully diversified portfolio. They have no openly stated mission or vision statements because the CEO, Warren Buffett, believes that sharing this information with the public would threaten the company's competitive advantage. The company's vision is to sustain profit by setting objectives to meet ethical values while maximizing long-term wealth of shareholders. And the different segments in which Berkshire Hathaway operates are its insurance groups, the Burlington Northern Santa Fe, the finance and financial products segment, the Marmon Group, the McLean Company, Mid-American, and other businesses. So now I'm going to pass it off to Michelle to talk a little bit about the company's leaders.
Hi, I'm Michelle. I'm going to talk to you about Berkshire Company leaders. The CEO of Berkshire Hathaway is Warren Buffett. And what's interesting about Buffett is that he avoids the growth trap by divesting in companies that he thinks are unstable or aren't going to be able to give the company a competitive advantage. Berkshire Hathaway also has top lean management, even though it has over 100,000 total employees. The managers within the company are chosen for their ability to work on their own initiative and self-motivate themselves, which is why it has a unique organizational structure. In terms of gold standard in investment decision making, Berkshire Hathaway was named that because they were able to achieve their goal of maximizing long-term wealth of shareholders, which is actually in their vision statement. And also, they are able to sustain their advantage through their unique business model, which centralizes capital allocation decisions in the world headquarters and decentralizes business and operating decisions in the business office. Right, next, I'm going to turn to Carly, who will talk about internal strength.
Hi, I'm Carly, and I'm going to tell you about the internal strengths of Berkshire Hathaway. First, it's comprised of 8 different segments. This helps with the conglomerate because it helps diversify each different segment and all of the different possibilities that each segment holds. So each segment has a different job. It works with different materials. Therefore, this helps with the overall long-term wealth of the company because each does not rely on the other. So this means that one segment could fail or strive and not necessarily affect the other segments. And this is great because clearly you don't want one leg to fail and then they all to fail. Next, the word is economic moats. This term was actually coined by Warren Buffett, the CEO, and this means the ability of a business to maintain its competitive advantage against its competitors. This is really important because it sustains profit and stability by diversifying the assets that could be substitutes against its competitors. Basically, what this means is Berkshire Hathaway likes to separate itself from the market, to increase its market share, its overall wealth, its profits, things like that. So financially, they want to stand away from the rest dramatically, like if there was a moat around it. It's very hard to cross the moat in order to reach Berkshire and its assets. This is important for if there was ever a downturn in the economic climate for any of the branches, because it won't be long term. There won't be like substantial problems, as you can see in this chart right here. As I'm sure all of you know, in 2008 there was a housing crash, and you follow me over here. You'll see in 2008, Berkshire Hathaway is the blue dot. It goes, I don't know if you can see the colors very well, but it's consistently right here. And in 2008, there's a very small dip in the overall revenue of the companies. As you can see in the others, there's a dramatic dip in a lot of them. This is important because of the two key success factors that we talk about in this class: competition and competitive advantage. By having this economic moat and diversification among the 8 legs, you can grow in all states of nature, especially in chaos and when all things are going well too. So even though it looks like it's a little bit smaller than the other companies revenue-wise, the study increases what is important. Now here's Michelle to talk about internal strengths by subsidiary.
Right, now I'm going to talk about internal strengths by subsidiary. And we decided to include this section because if it weren't for the many subsidiaries that Berkshire Hathaway has, then Berkshire Hathaway wouldn't exist as a company. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the Marmon Group and specifically Union Tank Car. If you guys will remember in the Competing for Resources article that we read in this class, physical uniqueness can't be copied. And the Union Tank Car Company, they tried to integrate that into their system by having not only leasing their rail cars, but also manufacturing them, which leads to custom manufacturing for customers. So also, just like Southwest Airlines, Union Tank Car is able to utilize its resources to fit the company. And many of Union Tank Car's competitors were not able to do this because, like we said many times in this class, the competitors know the parts but don't know the system of organizing it in a way that fits the company as a whole. There are many bears imitation in the railcar industry, which gives Union Tank Car a competitive advantage. And it's hard to copy the railcar industry because it requires high amounts of capital. Union Tank Car also has different core activities and competencies, and some of these include leasing and as well as manufacturing rail cars, which I had said before. And also their maintenance hotline. If you have a problem, you can call in and get an appointment, or also they will also come right to the site, so which is very advantageous for the customers. Then I have also mentioned here about the Levi's case. Levi's, as you will remember, had a core activity that was different from their competitors with the personal care kiosks. Next, I'm going to talk about McLane Company, and their distribution line is domestic through the use of specialty groups to maximize efficiency and public acknowledgement, whereas their competitors geographically outsource. A weakness of being a domestic distribution line is that this specialization costs a lot more than just outsourcing the products to someone else. However, they are very interactive with their customers, and they're able to inform them about where their products exactly are on the truck through the use of special internet technology. McLean Company buys and sells their companies repeatedly, which again goes back to avoiding the growth trap. As soon as they realize the company is in decline, then they just cut it out. Right, next I'm going to talk about Mid-American Energy. They use a differentiation strategy when it comes to their products and their companies. They also are very efficient in integrating and using synergy after forming their acquisitions. Also, they're able to charge higher prices than their competitors, which yield to its revenue intake. So next, I will hand it to Ryan, who will talk about external strengths by subsidiary.
Hi, my name is Ryan, and I'm here to talk to you about external strengths of Berkshire by subsidiary. Two subsidiaries we chose to highlight Berkshire Hathaway are the Marmon Group and Mid-American Energy. We chose these two because they, like Berkshire Hathaway, each have a number of its own subsidiary groups that participate in different industries, which is reflective of Berkshire Hathaway as a whole. The Marmon Group, but more specifically Union Tank, participates in the railcar industry, whereas Mid-American participates in the electric services industry. Each utilizes its own strengths to help create and or sustain a competitive advantage. Union Tank uses a product differentiation strategy to communicate value, prestige, and superior quality that fit both its customers' needs and its wants. It has an added benefit of being in an industry that has high barriers to entry, which provides low incentive for competitors into the market. Union Tank also capitalized from a booming shale industry by being the only company that wasn't solely focused on manufacturing and distributing coal. This is related to the Nucor case, such that Nucor was able to thrive during a time when many of its steel-only rivals suffered. Union also leverages modern technological systems to help create its differentiated products and services. Moving on to Mid-American, one of Mid-American's strengths is it produces environmentally friendly products through its geothermal, natural gas, and hydroelectricity production methods that appeal to its customers' sensitivities. Mid-American also had the foresight of placing many of its distribution centers closest to its largest retail customer base, which allow it to limit its middlemen supply channels and keep the end price lower to the consumer. Over time, this allows Mid-American to keep its total costs, both fixed and variable, lower, and consequently, they're now able to spend some of their saved money on contributing to their differentiated products, which ultimately helps them sustain their original competitive advantage. And so some of the recommendations we've come up for keeping this sustainable competitive advantage and kind of overshadowing some of the weaknesses is that Berkshire Hathaway should vertically integrate in the energy industry and create synergy between companies. What this means is that because Mid-American is one of the few of Berkshire Hathaway's companies that participates in the energy industry, is that Berkshire should think about having one of its other companies vertically integrate into the energy industry so that it takes less pressure off of Mid-American because they're so diverse in terms of selling both in the energy industry, and it also gives Berkshire Hathaway as a whole more leverage and less competition within the energy industry itself. Another thing Berkshire Hathaway should do is plan for the future and form strategic alliances. So one predicament that Berkshire Hathaway faces as of right now is that many of its relationships and partnerships with other businesses deal solely or has happened solely because of good relationships that Warren Buffett has established with suppliers. And so when Warren Buffett decides he wants to retire, he's most likely going to take a lot of upper level executives that he brought to the firm with him. So the company is going to be in need of a lot more talent. So this future and strategic alliance should take the form of recruiting younger and very highly talented students, because Warren Buffett already has a strong relationship with the MBA program at the University of Nebraska. So this would provide a good pipeline for Berkshire Hathaway to recruit highly intelligent and capable students. Not only that, but it would give the school a more attractive program to attract more talented students to come to the program as well, for the opportunity to work at a company like Berkshire Hathaway. And the final recommendation we have is that Berkshire Hathaway should think about forming mergers and acquisitions to decrease costs. Because right now, Berkshire Hathaway currently owns Geico, and Geico is their largest company within the insurance industry. And so Geico has been one of the leading industries in terms of paying for advertising costs and for getting their brand awareness out there. Unfortunately, this is not going to be a strategy that's sustainable for long, as advertising costs for industry for auto insurance continue to go up. Companies are going to need to find something else to make themselves sustainable. So what we recommend is that they merge with another company, aka Allstate or State Farm or some other maybe not as quite a big of a player. So this will decrease costs overall for Berkshire Hathaway, and it'll also provide a lower intensity and rivalry in terms of the auto insurance industry. So with that being said, we think